Well, good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? All right, so what's going on? We start with our gold. Gold's hanging at 50 ish. The bullshit 10 o'clock drop, the silver. So we got gold up to 50.85. It had the 10 o'clock hit down to 50.50 for no reason, and now it's back to 50.85. Silver was 113. It dropped down to about 105 at 10 o'clock, and now it's coming back to 108, back to 113. It's down $7, but I don't recall it being 114. When I went to bed, it was like 108. China does buy it. China needs it. China will continue to buy it. This should not be stopping anytime at all. This should just keep going. Now, I'm going to play 3 or 4 videos. There's a Glenn Beck who's an idiot, Alistair who's an idiot, a couple other people one guy's a bank guy. These guys are so clueless. It's hard to believe they got their positions. They don't understand inflation. They think inflation is a 2% price increase. In other words, they're talking about bonds. The bonds are doing this and the bonds are doing that. And they totally missed the point. Why would I be in bonds? A, the dollar's worthless, and B, I won't get paid back. It's not a good investment. The governments can't run it. France is going bankrupt, which I will show you. China, they're not counting the 80,000 tons of gold for some reason. And China's probably got 80,000 tons of silver too. And they keep having it going. So you got a lot of gold and silver in China and Russia and India, BRICS countries. They're totally missing the BRICS countries with all their gold. The bank guy, I don't know when this video was done, doesn't really get it. He still thinks that BRICS doesn't have a currency and they won't, doesn't have their own currency, which they just come out with a gold-backed currency. And that the FX where you got to buy dollars, if you're China, you got to buy dollars to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. Well, that's all gone. They just use the yuan. And anybody can use their dollars to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. So the guy totally misses it. Now, this could be, it says 2 days ago, but it could be 2 years ago. And then I'm getting really pissed with YouTube where, it's like me putting on my a 2025 video or a 2022 video and then say, well, it's 1 day ago. Gold might hit 3,000. I mean, that's how stupid it is. So you look at the time it's made and it says 1 day and it's, there's one I was watching with the Colonel McGregor and he said, well, there's Maduro standing outside, in Venezuela. Well, that was a month ago and it says 2 hours ago. And he keeps saying, it's all over. Ukraine surrendered. And they didn't surrender. But his headline is the Ukraine surrenders. It's all such bullshit. It's very frustrating. I don't know if you guys are having, when you come onto my channel and you hear my video, I keep getting it where it's muted. So I got to keep hitting the sound button just to make sure it's on. And then it keeps with these stupid AI things, which I can turn off for a minute, but then if you come back on, it keeps them on. And I really hate that. Like, oh, we're all idiots. We can't read. We can't listen. We gotta read this shit. I hate that, but it doesn't seem to be a way to take either of those off. So you just gotta hit the unmute button, and just you don't need to keep reading it. You already have heard my intro, So anyway, so that's what's going on. So we're the U.S. is basically broke, and according to the one banker, if we're not the reserve currency, we're done. Well, I got news for you. Even if we are the reserve currency, we're done. You cannot print $150 trillion because you had all this FX money out there and the Saudi oil money all coming back. So we're not the reserve currency. And even if we were, you still can't print that kind of money unless the read between line is, well, then people won't demand our money and all the money will come back and it'll be huge inflation, which he doesn't know what that means. Some banker, I don't know, I'll show you. But first, let's get into football. So we got New England winning 10-7. The worst call I've ever seen. That ball was not a backward pass. He threw it and the guy tipped it backwards. He didn't throw it backwards. Certainly not enough info to show you that the ball was thrown backwards. He pushed it forward. So how do you get backward out of it? Oh, because the guy knocked it back. Oh, well, that's not a backward pass. Hate to break it to you. And that's how New England scored their only touchdown in the game, was a 10-yard drive. I knew New England's going to get killed. New England has no business being there. This is the fault of the week's schedule. If you would have had a normal schedule, it would be KC and Seattle in the Super Bowl. KC gets totally screwed because these idiots they fuck with the schedule. So KC had all these hard games to play. Plus, keep in mind they get 2 with Denver and 2 with San Diego, who are pretty good. But it was just tough. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Buffalo, Detroit. I don't know if they had Green Bay or not. But it was very difficult for Kansas City. They didn't get the New Orleans, the Jets, the Giants, Miami, Tennessee, the real shit teams, right? So this new schedule really fucks the league up. You got a team like New England in the Super Bowl who shouldn't even made them playoffs. Now, I heard they had one team with they beat one team with a winning record, which was Buffalo, which they also lost to. They did beat Baltimore, who didn't have a winning record because they also had the hard schedule. Look at Detroit. They went 9-8 because they had the hard schedule, although they should have. That had nothing to do with Detroit because they lost 2 games to Green Bay in their division, 2 games to Minnesota in their division. They had to play them anyway. This is the problem. So it's stupidity. It's like putting a team like, a Big Ten team who played Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan, and then here's this team in the Big 12 who doesn't play Texas Tech, Baylor, BYU, Utah. They don't play them. They play the bottom teams. And then you want, or like Notre Dame. Notre Dame had no schedule. So putting Notre Dame in a playoff, playing nobody would have been a crime. Oh, they beat a lot of shit teams by 30 points. Yeah, but the 2 teams that you lost to, You lost. You lost. The two teams you played, you lost to Miami and A&M. A&M wasn't that good. Miami obviously was good. And that was it. We played two teams, you lost to them. The rest of the games were meaningless. I'll give you a little credit beating USC because they were a pretty good team. But this is the problem. Now, should Notre Dame have been in as a wild card? Probably ahead of the MAC champ, the Sun Belt champ. What was it? James Madison. Now, I would have put Notre Dame in ahead of James Madison or ahead of, what was the other one? Tulane. So I would have put Notre Dame. That's kind of my point. Notre Dame should not have been in. But James Madison, how do you justify James Madison in a Sun Belt league? Good team in the Sun Belt League. As I always say, it's got to be the teams you're playing, right? In conference, we bet James Madison. We don't bet them against Ohio State and Texas and, some of the better Clemsons or whatever. Well, the good teams, right? Not Clemson, but we never bet them then. We lay away because we know they're outclassed. So how does James Madison get in and Notre Dame doesn't from that standpoint? But Notre Dame really didn't play anybody either. So in the NFL, it's all fucked up. You got this terrible schedule. KC had a big game every week, and they were tired. You've got to be careful these teams that go to the Super Bowl back to back because you play these extra games, and it's emotional, all the playoff games, and you just don't have it. Kansas City basically just ran out of gas, and they lost a few players to free agency, and Mahomes didn't have any receivers. Kelsey looked like shit. So Kelsey just got old, basically, and that was his go-to, and their defense wasn't as good as it usually is because they paid Mahomes too much. Will KC come back? Yeah, they'll have the easier schedule since they missed the playoffs, and they'll be the number one team again. So you watch KC. Baltimore, I have no idea now with this new coach. I don't think he's a Michigan coach, so how good can he be, right? Learned under Harbaugh, so he's probably terrible. So you have that. Lamar stinks, so what are you going to do with that? Cincinnati, we got Joe Burrow. Let's see what he can do if he can stay healthy. They'll beat Baltimore, and then Pittsburgh. We don't know. Now, talk about screwing up people like us up, the handicapper and the bettors. I got 10 new coaches that I can't use any of their stats on from this year. That's 10 teams we can't bet for at least 4 or 5 weeks just to see how they are. And we need them against good teams. So Baltimore, I need to see Baltimore go up against Joe Burrow, go up against, well, I can't even look at Buffalo anymore because they got a new coach. So I got to see these teams play Kansas City or Denver or San Diego before I have an idea how good Baltimore, Buffalo are, or Philadelphia, their offensive coordinator. Again, I don't get these teams. If your offensive coordinator sucks, why did you keep him the whole year? Right? If I listen to an economist and he's an idiot, I don't listen to him again. He doesn't get what he's talking about. And I'll show you 3 or 4 different videos. I will never watch these idiots again. So if the offensive coordinator sucks, why is like Philadelphia? Why was he there the whole year? Obviously, the head coach doesn't have a clue what he's doing. So then you better have a couple of offensive coordinators. And keep in mind, there's only so many good offensive coordinators, a handful. So as you look at the Lions, they fired theirs. Who are they going to replace him with? The guy from Arizona, their offense sucked. What was Arizona's ranking? Let's go back to week 18. Arizona was a Z team, which means they scored less than 15 a game, and they gave up 34. So you bring in their offensive coordinator on a Z team. How good do you think he is? I mean, he had Brissett. Okay. You got golf. There's not much difference there. You had some running. You had Marvin Harrison Jr. sucks, so you didn't really have receivers. Oh, we're at 5,090 and 108.28 in silver. All right, go boys, go. So, I mean, you're picking up a new offensive coordinator that basically sucks. What are your goals, and what is your thought of this guy? John C. Hello. TK Raiders want Mendoza for some reason. Well, they can do what they want. Who's their offensive coordinator? Nobody. They don't. Who's their coach? Nobody. So Mendoza is strictly a hire for the fans. It's like the people who go on, TikTok or go on Twitter for the likes. No substance, but they get likes. And that's what you have here. They'll get likes if they draft Mendoza. Is Mendoza any good? Mendoza shouldn't even play the first year. I mean, I was listening to Tom Brady, one of his interviews, and he laughed at any quarterback that goes in his first year and plays. And you guys get all excited when Drake May runs for 10 yards. Well, that's not being a quarterback. And then you get all excited if he completes a 10-yard pass. Oh, look, he can complete a pass. Oh, Caleb, he can also throw 3 picks. So he's not good, Caleb. He's not. Drake May, after what I saw in a pressure game against Denver, which team was giving up 30 points a game against anybody with a good offense? Jacksonville, the Giants, they gave up 30 points to the Giants and to Trevor Lawrence, and they gave up 30-some to Green Bay. And he got basically a gift touchdown on the worst call I've ever seen. It was not a backward lateral. It was not a backward pass. It was a forward pass that the defensive guy pushed back. I mean, it's clearly, and I love how the analysts from the TV, the rules analysts, it was obviously a backward pass. And I'm like, can we slow it down and let's see what you're looking at? Because what I'm looking at, he pushed the ball forward and the defensive guy pushed it back. It was not a backward pass. Why he did it, I don't know. With his defense and understanding Drake May, just take your sack. Again, these young quarterbacks, this is where they're idiots. They just need to take the sack. Oh, the play didn't work. I'll take the sack. No. I'm going to try to throw it and do anything so I don't take the sack, even though it gives up an interception or a fumble in a game where our defense is dominating. They have no quarterback, but or CJ Stroud throwing the pick 6 when he's got the best defense in the league. What are you doing? People don't know how to judge defense. You're going against Stafford. You're not going to shut them out. However, in this game going against Drake May, Seattle will shut them out. It depends who you're playing. There's like A's and B's. Let's see how long this takes. Okay, am I still here? I believe I'm still here. What the fuck is that with the internet? Am I still here, Gen Z? Do they call that intentional grounding? No. Intentional grounding's when you am I still frozen? Did I come back? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know I froze, but I thought it was okay. So is that intentional grounding? No. Intentional grounding is when you're about to get sacked, you throw the ball away, and there's no receiver. You're not throwing to a receiver. You're avoiding the loss. That's intentional grounding. That's kind of what he was doing, but he threw the ball forward. He did not throw it backwards. It was a terrible call. It cost Denver the game with this terrible call, but that was the only touchdown New England got. Drake May did nothing. Drake May's horrible. Because this is how you measure Drake May is in playoff games, not against the Jets and the Giants and Miami. It's against good teams. And I love Miami. People are looking at their defensive coordinator who Miami had. What was their wonderful defense? Yeah, they had a 27 defense. So, I wouldn't be running to take Miami's defensive coordinator. Quite the breakfast. Cucumbers and apple and a yogurt and avocado. I ran out of pita bread. I got to get a pita bread. What the fuck? Just a second. I got it on pause. Why did it break pause? So I got to get my half and half of my coffee and my eggs and my pita bread. I'll go after class. So this is how I grade the quarterbacks, that I'm different. Oh, look how good Drake May. He's the MVP. MVP of what league? He wouldn't be the MVP in the Canadian League. He's not a good quarterback. He wasn't any good in college. But it makes it sound good. Oh, I got to watch Drake May. It's all a fantasy by the TV to get you to watch. The one team's up by 10 points. The other team comes back to make it a close game to keep you watching. That Ram game, the punt returner. Now, I heard on the radio yesterday, somebody thought that was a fix, that the punt returner fell down on purpose. And I will never believe that. No, he fumbled the first punt, but he recovered it. You do not fall down. He looked very shaky. In other words, he choked. He'll never play again. So you really think he fell down on purpose and then he's gone? He's not going to play again? There's no way. I mean, they had the other guy in there returning. You think next year, Willie, you did such a great job in the championship game fighting the punts. We'll have you back for more. No, that guy's gone. That guy will never play again. So he's not gonna risk his career to fumble a punt, So I don't buy that. But I love how everybody thinks everything's fixed now. It isn't. Neither game was fixed. The referee did did make a bad call. So maybe Drake May was more appealing than Stidham. If Bo Nix was in there, he wouldn't have done that, but nobody wants Stidham in the Super Bowl. Okay, I'll buy that, but not really. I think that game was pretty much on the line. New England was favored by 4.5. They won by 3. They didn't cover. But that would have went the other way. Then they would have called it an incomplete pass. They wouldn't have given Denver or New England the touchdown. So if we look at Super Bowl, we got New England an 18-13 defense, and we've got Drake May going against Darnell. And we've got New England is now 19-1 in a teaser. And we'll have to see what they are as a road dog. This is a road game for both teams. Seattle is 16-3 in a teaser. But now they're a road favorite. And that you've got to I have to look at that. I haven't done that part of it yet. My free play is basically go under 52 in the game, and take Seattle plus 1.5. And we don't care about Mr. Fuji and his teaser going, you can't tease crossing zero. Okay, what's that based on? Is there any fact to that? Is it like you got to go on fourth down, 4th and 2, you got to go 99% of the time you make it, even though I've yet to see anybody make it in the playoffs. Seems like a really good strategy, right? So that's bullshit. And the reason it's bullshit is my line is Seattle 7 over New England. Probably should be 10, but I got Seattle 7. So what I'm doing is instead of laying 1, which I would have laid, I actually get 1.5. So that's how I view it, because their spread's wrong by 2.5 points. We'll check the weather, but it's a little far off, 2 weeks to see. But it's San Francisco. It shouldn't be too bad. I don't think we'll get snow. Probably get 60 degrees and maybe a cloudy day, maybe some rain. I don't know. But that's 2 weeks away. So that's your pick. Take the under in the game, because see, swallow up Drake May. He's not going to do anything. And, because as we're seeing New England in these big, they put up 16 on San Diego. They put up really 21 on Houston. 7 was on a pick 6. And so that was pretty good, putting up 21 on Houston, but it was a lot of turnovers by Houston. And then last week they put up really 3 points on Denver. 7 was a gift. They got the ball at the 10-yard line. So they put up 3 on a decent team, Denver, but on the road, when the noise, they weren't as good. And here they're on the road at San Francisco. So I'm not expecting them to score. And Seattle with a really killer defense. Seattle's defense is as good as Houston's. Houston's was an 18, and Seattle's I got is about a 16. I raised it 2 because the Rams put up 27 on them. But New England doesn't have that offense that can possibly put up 27 on them. New England at best will score 6 points, maybe 7, 10, maybe 10. I got 30-10, so let's go 10. They're not stopping Seattle. Kenneth Walker run right through them, and very good. Drake May or Arnold didn't fumble, didn't choke like he used to. So we'll give him a little bit. Okay, maybe he figured out how not to choke. I think it's them running the ball a lot. Minnesota really didn't run the ball very much. And he missed Jefferson in the Lion game for the 1 seed. He missed him in the end zone 4 times for touchdowns. And he sucked. Basically, they blitzed him. He couldn't read it and anything else. So that's what you have. With that, let me play you this Tom Brady quickie. And he talks about how bad the quarterbacks are. All right, so here's 2 quickies on Tom Brady. And this will get you into what I always teach you, is that the quarterbacks can't read defenses. They run a play when they shouldn't and all that. Well, let's hear him, and then we'll talk.
I kind of miss the way that, there was an offense and defensive edge every week, and if you had a better defense and you could physically impose your will on the offense, you could win a game that way. Buffalo was like that when I first played them. They had a lot of good. London Fletcher played for them. Nate Clements played for them. They had a really talented defense. You had to bring it, and if you didn't, they were going to knock your head off. And you know what? So what did that force me to do as a quarterback? Learn how to read coverages better. Slide earlier or throw the freaking ball away. But don't sit there and run down the field and pretend like it was flag football. And now that I see a lot of guys now, it is flag football for quarterbacks. Yeah. When they run out of the pocket, they feel like, well, they can't be touched, and then it's really, I think it lets them back, because it's not forcing them to play in the pocket and learn how to diagnose things things and develop a real skill. Because I don't think running is a skill. I think running is a trait. You're not developing that. I think learning how to read coverages, diagnose defenses, come up with game plans, come up with better strategy. That to me is a skill. That's what Peyton Manning had. That's what Drew Brees had.
How to warm you up instantly with zero electricity. I used to think
it was always my job to say, well, I know what my play is. Now I look at the defense. Okay, I think I know what they're in. Does what I have call, is it going to work? And that was my judgment. And they would have to live and die with my judgment, the entire team. Now, I developed the trust within the team, my teammates in the organization to say, we trust you to have that final swipe. Let's say there's a safety blitzing off the right side, and I got to run right at the right side. And I know that nobody can block him. I'm not and tackle our running back 4 yards in the backfield. I'd say, okay, if the strong safety's coming on the right and we got to play to the right, what do you do? You want me to run to the left? You want me to check to a pass? I would hope that I would have never snapped the ball into a bad defense. Now, did I? Of course I did. And I played Buffalo snapped, and they would just play in this little shell defense, ball be snapped, and here they go, they rotate. Because every defense has weaknesses to it. My job as a quarterback was always to delineate where the strengths and weaknesses were. And was the play that I had called, was it able to take advantage of the weaknesses of the defense? And if it couldn't, then I was supposed to get to a play that would. I kind of missed
the art of war, he just said. This is what I constantly bitch about with the quarterbacks. I behold, you enjoying our nice gold and silver run? It's barely started. This is my whole point that I bitch at. Can Caleb do this? No. CJ Stroud, apparently not. Drake May, I doubt it. Caleb, no. Jordan Love, no. None of these quarterbacks. Lamar couldn't do that. He can't read shit. Like I said, take the Derrick Henry fumble against Buffalo in week 1. Right? What do they do? The defense is stopping Henry. What does Lamar do? He hands the ball to Henry. Henry gets hit by 5 guys, fumbles the ball, and Buffalo wins the game. Why didn't Lamar opt out of that play into something on the other side, or fake it to Henry and run right where he wouldn't have had the guys? Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. This is the problem with Lamar. Brady just laid it out. You've got to look at the defense and don't run into that play. You've got to change the play. And yet, I'd say 90% of these idiot quarterbacks, Stafford, yes. Do you think Steve Young can do that? No. Jordan Love, no. Caleb, no. Josh Allen, maybe. Trevor Lawrence doesn't even know where he is. Brock Purdy, he can do it. Hurts, no. Herbert, I don't know what he is. Drake May, no chance. Aaron Rodgers, of course he can. Bo Nix, I think he can. And then it's Darnell. I don't know if he can. We'll see if he can. I think he's learning. But it's basically, this is why you bet Stafford. This is why you don't bet CJ Stroud has no idea. Otherwise, he wouldn't throw the pick six 20 feet in the air while he's getting hit. And Stidman obviously didn't know what he was doing as he threw the pass instead of taking the sack. And that's the other thing, is learning to take the sack and not turn the ball over, which is another thing. Look at the end of the Bear game. What does Caleb do? He throws an interception. You can go to the fucking championship if you just go 10 yards down the field and kick your field goal. He throws a pass. The guy was never open. The Ram guy was the only guy who could catch it. So he throws 3 interceptions in the game. Yeah, he threw the miracle game, and everybody thinks, oh, look how good Caleb is. He ran back 20 yards, threw the ball blindfolded, and in a high school, kids game, he gets a completion, which should never have happened. If the quarterback wouldn't have gone into whatever the fuck he was doing. This is what I'm very good at reading. Does the quarterback know what he's doing? Tom Brady just laid out the art of war. Strengths and weaknesses. That's what I do. That's what we do with gold and silver. We do it with economics. We do it with football picking. That's how I pick. Strengths and weaknesses. The defense is the strength and or the weakness. I got a 16 defense in Seattle. That's their strength. And Darnell and New England's got a pretty good defense, but they haven't played anybody, and their weaknesses are Drake May and their offense. So who's got the better strength is Seattle. Hence, we're betting Seattle. In the Ram game, the Ram was the better team. Which is why we took the Rams. But we knew we'd get over because the Rams' defense was their weakness. And Seattle was going to score on them, and you're not stopping Stafford because he can read your defense and knows where your strengths and weaknesses are, which led them to putting up 27 points. But they weren't going to hold Seattle because their defense sucked. So it was a very easy – it's the same thing with the Lions. Decent offense, terrible defense. So they're going to play a lot of over games. I think we locked them 7 or 8 games over. Which were very easy. Again, we were going to lock the over in the Bear game, but again, it was like 5 degrees out. So again, the wind, the cold took away the strength of the offense. In the Ram game and in the Lion game with the Bears played, I couldn't bet it over because it was 5 degrees out. So there goes your strength. So the bet is that. But this is what I keep explaining. This is a perfect video. So I keep explaining what I'm doing when I'm picking early. I don't have the strength and weaknesses yet. I have to see the team. Oh, what did Virginia? They got the kid from North Texas. I knew they were going to be much better. Well, let's see them a few games. And I was right. And so you're looking at some of these teams. And that's why I usually bet the quarterbacks early because that's the strength is the quarterback. But now it's the coordinators moving all around, these quarterbacks and the players moving all around. So it's like you're getting a whole new team every year, and you're getting what's the strength and weakness. Indiana, we had no idea. Mendoza was nothing 2 years ago at Cal. He wasn't a top quarterback. So why is he going to be a top quarterback at Indiana? I don't know. He's certainly not the Heisman Trophy winner. He's certainly not the number 1 draft pick. You can say that, but the only reason he won the Heisman is they went undefeated. The reason they went undefeated was their defense. They beat Ohio State in the championship game 13-10. Wasn't their offense. And that's why I kept bringing up Miami putting up 24 on Ohio State. If they can put up 24 on Ohio State, their offense is a strength. With Ruben Bain, that their defense is a strength. This is how I watch a game. Show me the strength and weakness of each team. That's why when somebody says, "Oh, look how good Caleb is," and look at Drake May for MVP. Are you in what league is that? He wasn't the MVP on his team at North Carolina. He certainly wasn't the ACC MVP. When I look at Drake May and I look at Herbert and I look at these guys that just run Lamar, that is not strength. My quarterback has to throw the ball. Stafford, okay. Darnold, you're becoming a man. He's reaching maturity. He's finally becoming a man. Aaron Rodgers, I know his strengths and weaknesses. He's getting older, but he's still okay. That's why we bet on Joe Montana. We bet on Tom Brady because we knew how strong their strengths were, that we were going to win. If the game's on the line, we're going to win. If the game was fixed, they would still win the game. I don't think they were fixed. I don't think Brady or Montana would allow to fix the game. They were very, very competitive. Or Ronnie Lott, Lauren Taylor, you're going to try to fix the Giant game? Are you kidding? So when you got the Giants and Lawrence Taylor, what was their strength of defense? Phil Simms, just get out of the way. Just hand the ball off 3 times, punt it, and let the defense win the game. That was the Giant. Bet them under. So you look at the strength and the weakness of the team. And when you get these quarterbacks, who most of them suck, let's go down the quarterback list. Who can read a defense and get out of the play? What do we got? 3 guys, 4 guys? Steve Young, no. The Baker. I would say the Baker knows how to get out of a play. Darnell, I don't know. Maybe he's learning. Purdy, I don't know. They lost 17-3 or 13-3 that to clinch their division. I don't know. Did Purdy get out of the plays, or he just didn't have anybody? His whole offense was injured. Richardson at Indy, no way. Daniel Jones could not get out of a play. And then Riley Leonard, maybe he learned that at Notre Dame. I don't know. CJ Stroud, he can't get out of the plays. Cam Ward will never be able to read a defense or change plays, get out of a weak play that the defense is stacked. Never, 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 never. Trevor Lawrence can't do it. Dak Prescott, I don't know if he can do it. He hasn't shown it. Dart, there's no way. Love, I'm not sure. Maybe. Minnesota, they don't even have a quarterback. J.J. McCarthy can't do it. Maybe Brausmer can, but J.J. McCarthy can't read a defense and get out of it. Prime Jr., for sure, he can't. Joe Burrow absolutely can. That's why we bet him. Tyler Shaw, I haven't seen him, so I don't know, but I doubt it. Maybe he did play, I think, at Texas Tech for a bit. Kirk Cousins, he doesn't know what he's doing. Jalen Daniels, I believe, can. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts cannot. He's clueless. Miami, Tagliavoa has no idea what he's doing. New England, Drake May has no idea what he's doing. Brissett at Arizona, maybe he can. Kyler Murray, I don't think. See, I don't think this guy at USC, the head coach, what's his name? See, I'm not thinking about him, and then I jump to him, and my mind isn't like Lincoln Riley. There you go. That was a good one. I don't think he teaches that. I think he just, we're going to run this and just throw it to the guy that's open, and I think that's how he coaches. I don't think he watched the defense and get out of it. John McKay used to do that at USC. If there were so many guys on the line, he would throw, and if there wasn't different, he would run. It would be dependent on how many guys were on the line of scrimmage. Stafford obviously knows how to do it. Mahomes obviously knows how to do it. Oakland, Mendoza, we'll see. I doubt it. Herbert has no idea what he's doing. Bo Nix, I think Bo Nix gets it. Golf, he's clueless on the Lions. Caleb, I don't think he has an idea what he's doing. The Jets, who's their quarterback? I don't know. Buffalo, Allen. I think Allen has a kind of an understanding. I'll give him credit there. Lamar, no way. And Aaron Rodgers, yes. So you've got Rodgers, Burrow, Mahomes, Stafford, maybe Bo Nix. Maybe you got 8 or 9 quarterbacks who actually know how to read the defense and get out of the play. The rest of these bums have no fucking idea, and especially these rookies. And maybe they learned a little in college, although I doubt Lincoln Riley taught it because none of his quarterbacks ever do anything in the pros. Right? Tagliavoa did nothing. Or no, Oklahoma. Baker seems to be the only one. Jalen Hurts has no idea. Kyler Murray has no idea. Caleb has no idea. They all kind of scramble around. See, when you see Caleb scramble, it tells me he has no idea what he's